Welcome to another Fantasy Goodfellas video where we talk about the top 30 running back rankings for week 9. Richard, you ready?
Let's go.
The Fantasy Goodfellas.
Boom, boom, boom.
Rolling on the field.
The Fantasy Goodfellas.
All right, before we get started in this week's rankings, Richard, tell me how we did last week.
Okay, Ezekiel Elliott didn't play, but of our remaining 29 running backs, we hit on 22. Boom, boom, boom. We've been killing it for running backs all season. Again, I hope you're all watching our videos.
All right, before we get started, let me just explain what you should expect in our videos. Richard's going to give us rankings like always. I used the stat machine to see if you agree or disagree with his rankings, and hopefully this will help you with your lineups. All right, Richard, line them up.
Okay, first I'd just like to remind everybody of buys this week. We have Cleveland, Dallas, Denver, the Giants, Pittsburgh, and San Francisco on buys. That's right, 6 teams. And number 1, Derrick Henry at Kansas City. Tennessee might need to pass more to keep up with Patrick Mahomes, but Derrick Henry got a ridiculous 32 carries. They're going to continue giving him the ball. That's Tennessee's formula for winning. And number 2, Austin Eckler at Atlanta. It's a great matchup. If Justin Herbert is close to 100%, Eckler will be just fine catching balls out of the backfield, making things happen against a bad defense. And number 3, Alvin Kamara. Home against Baltimore. Kamara finally got into the end zone. I expect more of it. He's peaking right now, and he's definitely going to help fantasy owners. And number 4, Josh Jacobs at Jacksonville. It's a good matchup, and I have questions about Josh Jacobs, but Josh McDaniels loves to give him the ball. Let's give him the ball, and now he's got the right matchup to do it. This is a matchup where they can play that give Josh Jacobs the ball 30 times and win matchup. So we'll see. I expect that to happen. And number 5, Kenneth Walker at Arizona. Ken Skywalker has got a good matchup. That offense is amazing in Seattle right now. This is going to be a high-scoring game. And number 6, Aaron Jones at Detroit. It's a great matchup for this explosive running back. I expect Aaron Jones to maybe have a long play for a touchdown. And number 7, Travis Etienne, home against Las Vegas. Do you know that Travis Etienne had 24 carries in week 8? That's insane. That's insane for past usage. All of a sudden, I know James Robinson's out, but I didn't expect Etienne to get this many carries. If he does, he's going to be a top 10 back for the rest of the year. And again, he's got a great matchup. And number 8, Dalvin Cook at Washington. Dalvin Cook looks a little slower, and people are like, no, but look, he still got 100 yards last week. That people still argue for him. He just doesn't seem as explosive as he has in the past, but still a top 10 back. And number 9, Jonathan Taylor at New England. Jonathan Taylor just looks like he's not himself. Doesn't look 100%, but slowly he's picking it up, gaining that explosiveness. At some point, he's going to be a big help to his fantasy owners. Unfortunately, it may be too late. And number 10, Joe Mixon, home against Carolina. Mixon has not looked very good all season. He just happens to be in a very good offense that is now missing Jamar Chase, so he might be needed a little more in the passing game. At number 11, Miles Sanders at Houston. Miles Sanders is on a very good offense. The problem is, again, Jalen Hurts. He vultures a lot of touchdowns, and Miles Sanders doesn't always score, but he had a good week 8. We hope the trend continues. And number 12, Ramondre Stevenson, home against Indianapolis. Stevenson has taken over the reins as the lead back for New England, a team that likes to run. What can you say? He's a good running back. He's getting opportunities. The only issue here is Mac Jones at quarterback. And number 13, Deontay Foreman at Cincinnati. Foreman had a spectacular week 8. We'll see if that trend continues. He has a good matchup against Cincinnati. At number 14, Leonard Fournette, home against the LA Rams. Fournette's value comes with pass catching and scoring touchdowns. He's catching passes. He has scored touchdowns. He's had some decent weeks. But overall, he's been a disappointment because overall, Tom Brady and Tampa Bay have disappointed. And number 15, Raheem Mostert at Chicago. Mostert is explosive. So I expect a big play. It's going to come soon. It probably will be against the Bears, who are now missing Roquan Smith. And number 16, Damien Pierce, home against Philadelphia. Damien Pierce gets a lot of touches, and that's why he's ranked here. He's got a bad matchup, but he gets plenty of touches. And number 17, Eno Benjamin, home against Seattle. Eno didn't have a good week 8, but he's playing Seattle, one of the worst defenses in the league, so the matchup is fantastic. And number 18, DeAndre Swift, home against Green Bay. When are they going to start using DeAndre Swift more? Is he 100%? We don't know. But they need to use him more. And they need to use Jamal Williams less. This whole notion of grit is just dog poop.
Hold on. You're telling me that they should use Jamal Williams less and Swift more, but Jamal Williams is having a better season.
Yeah, well, Swift has been hurt. Swift has been hurt for a long time. But Swift is easily the more dynamic of the two backs. Jamal Williams is a middling back, but they love him. They love him in Detroit because he embodies their culture, grit. Keep going with grit. Keep going with that 1-6 grit. And number 19, Devin Singletary at the New York Jets. Devin Singletary got a decent amount of carries. He was in double digits in week 8. He's on a great offense. It's just that, that offense is built around Josh Allen and the passing game. And number 20, A.J. Dillon at Detroit. A.J. Dillon is fading for me. But again, there are a lot of teams on buys this week, and Detroit, great matchup. So this is the week for him to do something. If he doesn't do anything, I think it's bye-bye A.J. Dillon, at least from my rankings. At 21, Antonio Gibson, home against Minnesota, and especially in PPRs, Gibson's looking good. Again, Heineke he's throwing little dump-offs to Gibson and not to Robinson. So that's something to keep an eye on. I guess Gibson is the better pass catcher. And number 22, Jamal Williams, home against Green Bay. I have to include Jamal Williams because, again, they like Detroit, the grit. He's a grit back. He's getting the ball. He has 8 touchdowns. That's tied for second in the league. Most of that happened when DeAndre Swift was hurt. I get it, but he scored 2 more against the Dolphins. So based on that, we got to rank him. And number 23, Gus Edwards at New Orleans. We don't know if Gus Edwards is going to play, but if he does, I have to rank him around here. We can easily, put Kenyon Drake here if Gus Edwards doesn't play. And number 24, Khalil Herbert, home against Miami. Herbert, I think, is the better running back between him and Montgomery. And Montgomery could be traded. We'll find that out later today if it happens. But Herbert's starting to get that 50% share in Chicago and doing more with it. And number 25, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, home against Tennessee. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is also fading, but he's on a great offense with Patrick Mahomes. And here's something you might not realize. Clyde Edwards-Helaire has scored 6 touchdowns this year. That's tied for 7th in the league. He's touchdown dependent, but he gets them. And number 26, Brian Robinson, home against Minnesota. We talked about Brian Robinson earlier. It seems like Gibson is catching all the passes, and Robinson had a bad week 8. We'll see. We'll see if the trend continues or if they'll revert back to Antonio Gibson as their lead back. And number 27, David Montgomery, home against Miami. We talked about this earlier. I like Herbert more than Montgomery, but Montgomery still gets his share of carries and is still a decent back. If he gets moved somewhere else, his value could go up or down, obviously, depending on his situation. And number 28, we have Tyler Allgeier, who will be home against the LA Chargers. He got a lot of touches last week and also made a couple plays. The rookie's looking better. Atlanta likes to run. At number 29, Damien Harris, home against Indianapolis. Same rationale here. The Patriots love to run. And even though Stevenson is the guy, Harris will still get his carries. And at number 30, Caleb Huntley, same theme, who's home against the LA Chargers. The Falcons like to run. So I'm ranking guys that are consistently getting carries, or at least a trend of carries in recent weeks. And that's your top 30.
All right, let's just look at a couple other rankings before we conclude this video. Some people have Travis Etienne ranked 2, and you got him at 7.
Yeah, look, hey, that's fine if you like him that much. I mean, I wouldn't rank him higher than Eckler or Kamara, but he got 24 carries in week 8. If that trend continues, Etienne is explosive. He's on a bad team. Trevor Lawrence has looked horrible. So how can you compare him to running backs that have good quarterbacks? That's what holds him back. But 7, I think, is a good ranking.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on here and sharing your top 30 running back rankings for week 9. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You can always ask questions in the comments section. Richard, what do you think about questions in the comments section?
Yeah, put him in as soon as you can. I try to get to them quickly, but sometimes towards the end of the week, I just can't get to them. So if you send them to me early, I'll respond.
The fantasy good fellas.
rolling on the field.
The fantasy good fellas.